So many JRPGs in the 1990s tried to emulate what the Final Fantasy series did, which was take over the whole world and redefine the genre of the JRPG. So many tried and so many failed as well. For example, last week we were talking about Grandia and my Grandia retrospective, which is a really fantastic game. I love that game, but unfortunately a lot of press outlets decided to say that this game was a Final Fantasy VII killer, which it wasn't. How does that relate to today's video? Well, you have to remember, around that time, every turn-based JRPG that came out of Japan, of course, the JRPG, everybody thought was going to be the Final Fantasy VII killer. And, well, after a couple of years of seeing everybody else have a piece of the JRPG pie, Japan Studios decided to take matters into their own hands by developing The Legend of Dragoon. Developed by a Japan studio and published by Sony for the PlayStation 1 in Japan in 1999, and released in North America in the year 2000, spanning 4 discs, is The Legend of Dragoon, a turn-based JRPG set in a medieval fantasy-like setting with deep lore, magical artifacts, and diverse races. You follow the journey of Dart, who begins his adventure sitting in a forest pondering a war, when suddenly confronted by soldiers and then attacked by a strange green dragon, only to be saved by a mysterious woman in blue armor. After a quick discussion, Dart runs to his hometown of Celis, and moments later, a stone that the woman holds begins to glow blue. What could this possibly mean? And who is she? From there, Dart heads to town only to realize his childhood friend Shauna is kidnapped and taken to Helena prison for reasons yet unknown. Dart sets out on a quest to rescue Shauna, but quickly becomes embroiled in a larger conflict involving malevolent forces of the Emperor Dole and greater evils which he and many other characters will soon confront. Dart soon discovers that his quest is closely tied to Dragoon spirits, powerful artifacts that grant individuals the ability to transform into Dragoons, formidable warriors with control over dragons. The narrative of the game explores themes of destiny, love, betrayal, and the ancient conflict between humans and winglies. As Dart and his friends travel across the expansive world of Endiness, they uncovered the truth of the Dragoon spirits, their own origins, and the ultimate evil force that threatens their world. Now, of course, in a lot of these retrospectives I've been doing lately, I don't really spoil the whole story because I want to kind of encourage you guys to play the game if you haven't done so already, because there is a lot more than meets the eye in what I'll be showing in today's video. But imagine stuff like great deities, divine trees, 1,000-year wars, stuff like that. Dart begins his journey alone, but quickly finds companions that share the same goals, and thusly they team up in an effort to save the world, pretty much. Here's a few of the characters that I enjoyed in my time with The Legend of Dragoon. Lavitz, he's an honorable and loyal knight from the kingdom of Basil. He joins Dart's quest after a chance encounter and becomes a close friend and valuable ally. Shauna is Dart's childhood friend and love interest of the game. She has a mysterious connection to the Moon Child and becomes an essential part of the story. Rose is the mysterious character you encounter at the beginning of Dart's journey, and she's an experienced warrior who has lived for centuries somehow, something you delve a lot more into as the story progresses. And Albert is the Prince of Basil and Lavitz's childhood friend, and later becomes the King of Basil. He's a key character in the political turmoil of the game. Each of these characters has their own backstories, personal quests, and abilities that they use throughout the game. And as you progress the story, you'll learn a lot more about their histories and see how they contribute to the overarching plot, which revolves around the moon that never sets and the world's fate. Now, I haven't mentioned every character in the game, of course, but these were the ones that really stood out for me. Gameplay in The Legend of Dragoon is a little bit more different than your standard JRPG turn-based stuff because of the addition of the addition system, meaning you can do timed hits for greater damage output when you're attacking an enemy. Of course, you start with the basic ones, but as you progress through the game, you get some more difficult and timed button presses that, again, double or even triple the amount of damage you're able to do to one enemy. Characters also have the ability to transform into Dragoons, powerful beings with unique magical abilities and enhanced stats. To do this, you need to acquire Dragoon spirits and have a filled Dragoon spirit gauge. Dragoon transformations provide powerful attacks and the ability to use magic. And in Dragoon form, characters can access a variety of magical spells corresponding to their element. These spells have different effects such as healing, damage, status elements, and buffs. In addition to HP and MP, characters also have spirit points, which is SP, and is also essential for initiating Dragoon transformations and using Dragoon magic. Successful additions fill the SP gauge. The battle system in Legend of Dragoon adds a twist on the conventional turn-based combat with the addition system and Dragoon transformations, making for a more unique and memorable experience. Composed by Dennis Martin and Takeo Maratsu, the music in The Legend of Dragoon is predominantly orchestral and cinematic in nature, featuring sweeping melodic themes, lush arrangements, and grandiose sound that helps immerse players in the game's medieval fantasy-like world. Tracks vary from serene and atmospheric pieces in tranquil locations to more intense and dramatic songs during battles and action sequences. Many of the characters and locations in the game have their own distinct musical motifs. For example, Dart, the main protagonist, has his own theme, and key locations like the city of Fletz have unique musical accompaniments. The game's music is particularly effective in conveying the emotional depth of the storyline. From poignant and melancholic pieces to triumphant and heroic compositions, the soundtrack helps convey the characters' struggles, victories, and the overall epic scale of the adventure. Now, one of my favorite songs from The Legend of Dragoon is Dart's theme, and if you've been watching these retrospectives, you kind of know the deal by now. So here's my rendition of Dart's theme from my Retro Game Remix project. Check it out. Overall, the music in The Legend of Dragoon is celebrated by its fans for its ability to evoke a wide range of emotions and its capacity to enhance the player's connection to the game's world and characters. It plays a crucial role in making the game's storytelling and gameplay even more compelling and memorable. Back in the year 2000, Legend of Dragoon received mixed reviews, and to be honest with you, I find the same thing now, especially if you haven't played the game before. It's not a perfect game by any means. Most of the positives seem to lie in the story and the characters, music, and the battle system, but a lot of people then and even now tend to complain about the game's graphics, which for a game released in the year 2000 could have maybe been better. I mean, it's hard to say, but if we compare to Final Fantasy IX, for example, which came out around the same time, it's clear which is the better looking game, regardless of the difference in art style. Some people have also complained about the character names. I mean, yes, they are kind of random, but, you know, for me, I don't really care. Could there have been a better name for the Winglies? Yeah, probably. And Legend of Dragoon also featured voice acting, which, to be honest, is pretty B grade, but still lovable nonetheless, although it does get old after about 40 hours in the game. The Legend of Dragoon is one of those games that has a cult fan base. No, it's not the greatest game of all time, but there are fans that are pretty die-hard for it. I mean, even back in the day in the year 2000, yes, I played it on my PS1 with the screen that you could attach to the back of the console. It was awesome. It was a great experience. Did I get far in the game? No. But it's one of those games that a lot of people cherish and love to this day. And even with the PlayStation Plus edition of The Legend of Dragoon a couple of months ago here in 2023, people were going wild for it. And you know what? I think that's understandable because it's a good game. Is it perfect? No, but I love the imperfection. And even Shuhei Yoshida himself said they were actually considering a sequel to The Legend of Dragoon back in the early 2000s. So I think the way that the game ended, there's a little bit more story to be told. If you know, you know. I mean, you can obviously look at different points in the story and think, I'd love to know more about that or more about this. But at any rate, Legend of Dragoon is a great game. If you haven't played it, go play it. And if you haven't done so already, hey, leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on Legend of Dragoon. Have you played the game? Do you like the game? Do you not like the game? I think it's a great game, and I think it's worth talking about, hence why I've added this to my JRPG retrospective series. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you again in the next video. Take care.